morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Reen Wilcoxon, owner of Embroidery Garden, and this is my November demo. And today I'm going to show you how I like to embroider a Santa hat. So, what's everyone doing today? Where are you from? And are you feeling that holiday crunch? I'm already feeling it. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and I feel like I'm so far behind. But I see a lot of people have been rolling in. And I see Patricia's here, Heidi's here, Susan's here. I want to thank you all for joining me. Hi, Beth. A lot of people. Let's see. Debbie's here. Sandy, Sharon. Thanks so much for joining me. So I will be doing the giveaway today at the end of the demo. You need to type in hashtag garden, just like it appears above my head, right up here. And I'll be doing a drawing at the end of the demo for a $20 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. So I always do some upcoming things that are happening before we get started while people are rolling in. And upcoming after Thanksgiving here, December 1st, I will be part of a presentation that Angela Wolf is doing. I did it last year. I think we did it the year before, but Angela is going to have her gift making, sewing, and holiday event. So it's basically classes that there are 6 of us that are involved. There's Angela, there's myself, there's Rhonda from Stitch and Time Designs, there's Joanne Banco from Let's Go Sew, there's Karina Paulson, who is an expert bag maker, and there is Heather Banks. And we're all going to be presenting classes. And on December 1st, we're going to do a live. It's going to be at 1 p.m. on December 1st, Central Time. And we're going to talk about the classes. We're going to show our projects. And at that time, Angela's going to open up registration. So I think the link is going to get put up for those classes. This is going to be like a Facebook Live, or you can watch it on Angela's YouTube channel for the classes. But it's going to be really fun. I got a cute project. And I think if you look over my shoulder over here, you're getting a sneak peek at my project. All right, so let me just look to see if there's anything going on. Yeah, get that hashtag garden in. After Angela's classes, another thing about the classes, they're all going to be recorded, and you will have access to those recordings and all the files that we use in the classes. December 9th, it's my favorite things. This is going to be my 6th year doing favorite things. I've got a lot of giveaways. I've got thousands of dollars in prizes to give away. Just to mention, this year, some of my sponsors are going to be Sewing Machines Plus. They're giving away a embroidery sewing combo machine. It's the LB 5000. Jerky Hoops is giving away a cap frame. My friends at Dime have a giveaway. Shannon Fabric, Caesar, Laserbeast Studio, Joanne Banco, Angela Wolf has got some things she's giving away. I'm missing a whole bunch of people, but there are going to be thousands of dollars. Oh, there's a scan and cut that's going to be given away from Amy Bauman's Sewing Quilt. So be sure to tune in. Basically, all you're going to do is watch to win. During that time, you'll see the code that you use, and winners will be picked live for my favorite things. I do have a page that gives you all the information. It'll be December 9th, and it's starting at, I believe it's 10 a.m. I can't quite remember if it was 10 or 12 a.m. Central Time, but just be sure to watch that. Also, 2024. July, save the dates, because Amy Bauman is pulling me out of teaching retirement, and we are going to be cruising to Alaska. And it's going to be so much fun. Amy will be teaching classes. Stephanie, who is the craft coordinator for Caesar, Stephanie Young, she's going to be on the cruise teaching. I'll be teaching. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can go to sewandsale.com. I'm sorry, sewandssalecruise.com and get some information. It's going to be their cruise number 16. We haven't really formally announced it yet, but details are going to be out there really, really soon. We expect it to sell out, so make sure that you are following Embroidery Garden's Facebook page to see some announcements for that. It'll also be in my newsletter and everywhere else that I am on social media. All right, I see more people coming in. Let's see. Ginger says my voice is going in and out. Is anyone else having a problem with that? I had a problem with my microphone the other day. So, another thing I want to mention, I do have a new helper, someone who is helping me during my lives. Karen is backstage, and I want to just mention her and thank her. So, as we kind of get to the end of the year here, um, I do have a lot of things to look forward to in 2024. This will be my last demo of the year for 2023. I'm not going to be doing one in December. I'm busy. You're busy. I'll be back in January 2024, starting another year. It'll be, I'm thinking, my third year of doing a monthly demo. Also, in 2024, mid-February, I'm gonna have a big announcement with my friends at Dime, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And there's also gonna be, a few more collaborations throughout the year that I can't talk about, but, my business partners and I have some things planned for you, so stay tuned. Let's see. I got my notes here. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything. Be sure to follow Embroidery Garden on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Um, and subscribe to my events calendar. It's on my website. And then that way you will know everything because I list everything on that events calendar and you'll get a notice. And you can add it to your own personal calendar from that page. All right, I'm looking to see it says my voice is still going in and out. You know what? Let me try one thing and I'll be right back. I'm going to let you look at my table for a minute at the project I'm going to be doing. I see someone is asking about the snowman behind me. That is basically one of my snowman snowballs. And it's just enlarged. The pattern is just enlarged. That's all it is. And it's the panel pattern that's enlarged. I didn't enlarge the face on that one. So is my voice any better? I'm just trying to I see somebody says it was fine for me. All right, Cindy is asking about my thread holders behind me. My That's my thread storage system. There's probably about 12 drawers over there. And that's from Laserby Studio. Laserby Studio is also going to be a sponsor for Favorite Things. Um, they are generously giving away, I think, about $300 in gift cards to their website. And, watch in 2024, I will be doing an in-depth um, demo on their thread storage system because I absolutely love it. All right, so let me look at my notes here. So I'm going to show you today how I stitch a Santa hat. And I want to look at the table right now and give you kind of an idea of exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be talking about a knockdown stitch. What is a knockdown stitch? When do you use it? How do you create one? I'm going to show you in two different software programs. One of them is Designs and Machine Embroideries Word Art and Stitches, and the other is PE Design 11, how to create a knockdown stitch. And then we're actually going to stitch a Santa hat today. So let's take a look at the hat that I'm going to do. So I bought this hat and I kind of like it, but it's got like this weird little wire in it. And I don't know, it's just kind of different. But one thing that I want to talk about when you get a Santa hat or a stocking, whatever, my tip to you is to kind of look to see how the brim or the cuff on the stocking is made. This one, it actually, all they did was folded this up and glued it down. You can see where I kind of pulled it away from the glue. It was just one little line of hot glue, and that's how they held the brim up on both sides. So all I did was I just pulled that hot glue away from there. And now this hat is going to be pretty easy to do because I'm going to have the ability to turn it like this. I did a stocking and I was kind of lazy and I didn't want to take it apart. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But what I want to do is I'm going to kind of go backwards a little bit. And we're going to get this stitching because I want this to get done so you can actually see it. So I want to get it started stitching. What I always do is I print a template. I always print templates. And I'm going to tell you how I created this design in just a little bit. But again, I want to get this going. For something like this, with the fur on it, you're going to need a knockdown stitch. And what the knockdown stitch is, it's going to hold down some of this fur so that the fur doesn't stick up all around my lettering. If it did, you wouldn't really be able to read what my hat said. So a knockdown stitch is a fill of different types, really. It is not a complete fill like on this snowball, the eyes and the nose. That's a fill, an embroidery fill. You can't see anything behind it. Nothing is coming through it. If you do a knockdown stitch, you can use a fill, but it's got to be a little bit looser. And you, it needs to be enough that it will hold the pile, the fur, your nap um, down, but it's not really dense so that you can't stitch something over it. What font is this? The Merry Christmas. This actually came out of Word Art and Stitches software. That's Dime's kind of a monogramming software, and it's built in. It was called Ontario. The hat, where did I get it? I'm not sure if the store is a brand that is across the country. It's here in our area. It's called Meyer, and that's where I got this hat from. All right, so again, I want to go ahead and get this going. I'll talk a little bit about the knockdown stitch in just a moment, but let's go ahead and get this started. So again, I chose a hat that I could easily, turn the brim down on. I've got my template. I placed it where I wanted it to be on my hat. One thing that I always do is I measure. Before I start creating my design, you need to kind of know how big you want it to be. I especially want to know the height, how big I wanted this design to be to fit on this brim. And I decided about 2.5 inches. I always have my ruler near me. This is one of Embroidery Garden's acrylic rulers. And it's just so handy to have. I always have it nearby when I'm doing any kind of designing or doing something in the hoop and I need to measure. So I knew that I wanted my design to be about 2.5 inches high. And again, I'm going to show you how I created this, but I created my design. I printed my template. I use Brother machines. So my machine has what they call this snowman technology. I'm going to get my hat put onto my hoop, but then my machine is going to fine tune my centering a little bit for me. I'm using Dime's 5x7 sticky hoop. It's perfect to hoop something like this because you can't actually hoop it because it's too thick to get into a traditional two-piece hoop. So all you do is on the back side, here's my sticky paper. You pull off the paper backing of the sticky stabilizer, lay it down on the back side of the hoop so that on the front side it's sticky. And that's where I'm going to be laying down my hat. I've pinned my template to my hat exactly where I want it to be. So now I'm going to just fold it down. And this is why, again, you want to look for hats and kind of look for something that is going to be easy for you to embroider. And the fact that I could remove this brim, I could fold this brim down, is going to make this hat easy to embroider. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay my brim down. And I don't really have to get it exactly centered because I'm going to let my embroidery machine center it for me. But one thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that it is as flat as it can be. And then now that I have it down, I am going to pin it down. This is to keep part of my brim out of the way. And I will be putting a topper on here, but not quite yet. I want to make sure that this area of the brim stays out of the way of the needle. So, sometimes you have to finagle this just to, make sure that nothing's going to get caught. I am going to put a pin here to keep this top part down. Make sure I get it pinned down well. Having a hard time getting my pin through there. But you do want to make sure that you keep all other parts out of the way. All right, so now there's my pin is secured there. And these edges, I want to make sure again that they stay out of the way. All I'm going to do is just pin it down a little bit. One more pin and I'll have it ready. All right, that looks good. And again, make sure that this is really nice and flat. One thing, if you have a machine like mine that has the snowman technology, when it tries to recognize the snowman, you want this to be nice and flat so it doesn't have any problems. Do I change my needle after using sticky stabilizer? No, I don't. I'm going to be using a regular 7511 needle, and I'm not going to change it after this because it's not this stabilizer isn't going to gum up my needle. The stabilizer, when you buy the 5x7 or other sticky hoops from Dime, and that's what this one is. This one's from Dime. It comes with stabilizer, a few sheets for you to try, and I have no problem. It does not gum up my needle or anything. So, yeah, I don't necessarily change my needle just because I've used sticky stabilizer. So now I'm going to take it to my machine and I'm going to let my machine use the snowman marker and kind of do some fine tuning to align it. So over at the machine, again, I'll be putting the water soluble on top, but not quite yet. Take my machine up and I'm pressing my snowman marker. And again, it's going to be doing some of the fine tuning to line this up. I saw a question, the projects from last year, if you're talking about Angela's class, they were great. So yeah, stay tuned and watch our Facebook Live on December 1st, and you'll get a sneak peek at all of our projects. So what my machine is doing, it's trying to find the center of the mark. And of course, right now it said it couldn't find it. The I'm gonna try it one more time. It could have been the lighting. Again, it does have to be really flat because as you see what happens is the needle goes on that template, it the foot goes down, and when it does, that kind of makes it move a little bit. And if there's movement, it may not be able to find it. If it doesn't, I'll just use my um, arrows on my machine and move it over so that my needle is aligned with the dot in the center. It should find it. Me, it looks like it's going in the wrong direction, so I'm probably going to have to line it up manually with my arrows. Yep, it lined up. Yay! All right, so at this time, it's lined it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to remove my template. And if your machine doesn't have, this type of technology, then all you would do is move your design until it's lined up. The center of your template is lined up with the needle. Put my water soluble topper underneath here. And it can stick down to the sticky stabilizer there. And I'm going to get started. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it a little bit till it gets started. Ginger says she could not do embroidery without her templates. I can't either. I have to have a template. And if you have embroidery software, you have the ability to print a template. Usually just bring your design up, go to File, Print, and you can print a template. If you don't have embroidery software, or you don't have software that you think will print a template, Dime has free editing software called Embroidery Toolshed that you can do some editing of designs in, but you can also print templates from. And the templates will give you nice cross marks, and it even does some diagonals in there. So you can line things up. You got to use templates. Whenever I do anything, I really, really have to use a template. So I want to keep an eye on this just for a second to make sure that, nothing's going to happen because if I move away, then if I move away, something is sure to happen. Am I going to sell this Merry Christmas design? Um, I could put it up, for you to download. The thing is, it's just going to be in one size. It's just going to be that. It might fit your particular hat. It might not. It might fit a stocking. It might not. I'll tell you what. If you join my In the Hoop Facebook group, that's where I will put it. And I will get it up there today or tomorrow. But, give me a little bit of time because I'll have to convert it to a few different formats. And I'm going to be watching my grandson today and tonight. So just give me a little bit of time. But if you join the In the Hoop Facebook group from Embroidery Garden, I'll put it up in there. And it looks like I'm going to be okay here. Again, I just kind of want to watch to make sure nothing happens. I think what I'll do is, whoops, I thought I went to my machine. I'm going to stop my machine for a second, and I'm just going to put a piece of tape here. I'm just taping that down because, again, like I said, I'm not going to be watching this. I can't keep my eyes on it. I have to do some other things. So this knockdown stitch, again, what the knockdown stitch is, it's something that's going to hold down fur, anything that has a nap or a pile to it, like towels, Sherpa. Sometimes people like to use it on fleece. Anytime that you don't want your stitches to sink down into something, you'd want to use this knockdown stitch. And I've got a few examples of some things that I've used knockdown stitches on that I'm going to show you. So the first thing, this is a towel that I did, and I have a knockdown stitch behind my monogram. And Phil is asking, do I like the new pink mat better than the blue one? Well, look how pretty it is. I mean, yes, I absolutely love it. It's nice, it's bright, it's bigger than the blue mat. And if you use Dime's PAL, that's their perfect alignment laser, it will shine on here in like a high definition pink color so that when you go to line up things, you can really see it a lot better. And you can get the pink mat from embroidergarn.com. I've added a new category onto my website. And if you go at the top menu bar, you'll see supplies. And if you click on that, then you will see, some things that I carry now, especially dime products. On this bag, this was made with Cuddle fabric. And you can see behind here, behind my lettering, I used a knockdown stitch. On this other hat that I did, I think I did this one last year. Knockdown stitch on this one. Basically, I'm doing this one the same way. This one I was able to, turn the brim and embroider on it. And you can just see how nice the lettering looks, how you can read it so much better than having your fur kind of stick up between all the letters and make it not quite so easy to read. The second to last sample, this is the stocking that I did recently. If you follow me on Facebook, you saw that I posted this. And I believe I posted the photos of me stitching it. This one was a lot trickier because the cuff, I don't have much room here, not much room at all. I was able to turn it like I did the hat that I just hooped. Problem is, though, see, I didn't have much space. Had to, the pom-poms I had to put down inside, but I didn't have much space to get this one hooped. So I really had to watch and really try to move this part of the cuff out of the way and keep it pinned down and just really, really watched it. This one, knockdown and lettering, this all came from Dime's Word Art and Stitches software. I'm going to show you how to create the knockdown in just a moment. I'm going to be doing it in Word Art and Stitches software and in PE Design 11. One more sample to show you. Grab it here. This is a blanket that I did a few years ago. And let's see if you can see, it's kind of big. But all of this has a knockdown stitch underneath it. Okay, Robin's asking, how is the sticky stabilizer removed from the back when it's finished? I'll show you when I do it. A lot of these things you don't have to remove the stabilizer from, especially this hat. I mean, I don't really need to remove it from there because it's just a Santa hat. This, how I did this, the knockdown stitch, the same as embossing. Well, yeah, you can use a knockdown stitch. I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. You can use a knockdown stitch to make something appear to be embossed. That would actually be another whole demo that I could do for you. So on this one, I didn't have to remove anything because back here on the back side, I kind of covered everything with another piece of fabric. This is kind of a cuddle on here. But this whole thing here is all a knockdown stitch. Part that's embroidery is the snowflake, the names, and you can see an outer circle and an inner circle of the satin stitch. And that's all that is embroidered on here. The rest of it is a knockdown stitch. These kind of gray marks you see in here, well, that's from the fur. All right, so let me move all my samples out of the way. My design is ready for me to change red. And I'm going to do Merry Christmas in a red color. But look how nice that knockdown stitch is. On this one, the knockdown stitch I'm using is one that I had created in Word Art and Stitches software. I'm doing my lettering in a red that matches my hat. To do it in my design center, you can. Actually, I believe I did a demo with All Brands a couple of years ago where I showed that. I'll see if later on I can find the link if you remind me in my group. All right, so now I'm just going to start the lettering. And let's go and talk again about a knockdown stitch. So you saw that the purpose of a knockdown stitch is to hold down the pile, the nap, the fur, whatever, so that your embroidery design, you can see it better or you can read it better if it's lettering. And the knockdown stitch can be a fill stitch, but the fill stitch would not be really dense. It would be a lighter fill stitch, enough to hold down the pile, but not too dense to where it would be hard to embroider something over top of it. A knockdown stitch can also be a grid, a form of a grid. Again, it would be a little bit tighter than, like say a cross stitch or something, but it needs to hold the pile down, the fur down, and be able to embroider on top of it. It can also be a decorative kind of stitch, a decorative type of fill can also be used. So that's what a knockdown stitch is and how you can create it. I'm going to go ahead and let's see, I wanted to go back on the Santa hat that is embroidering right now. Let's take a look and see how it's doing. Doing the lettering. So I needed the Santa hat. I'm using the dime 5x7 sticky hoop, sticky stabilizer. I'm using exquisite thread on this particular hat. On that stocking that I showed you, I actually used Dime's King Star metallic thread for that snowflake and the lettering. And basically, that's it. Sometimes if you are doing something a little more dense, you might need a little more stabilizer. So you would take a piece of cutaway if that was appropriate and basically slide it underneath the hoop. So it would just, I'm not going to do it now, but it would slide underneath the hoop to give you a little bit of more stabilization. That's called floating. If you've ever wondered what floating means. You can see that it's going to finish out the words. Is a knockdown stitch like quilting? No, quilting is more open. This has to be a little bit more dense. Again, you don't want it as dense as a fill stitch. So the eyes and the nose here, that is filled embroidery. And that fill stitch, is dense, so you can't see anything underneath it. With the knockdown stitch, you're going to be able to see, underneath a little bit, but it's holding down that nap or that pile. So let's go ahead and see how you create a knockdown stitch in Designs and Machine Embroideries, Word Art, and Stitches. Stitches software. It's very easy to create a knockdown stitch. The first thing I'm going to do is create my lettering. So I'm going to go up in the upper left and click the text tool and click in the design space. It opens up the text box on the right-hand side, and I'm going to use the drop-down menu to choose one of the built-in fonts in Word Art and Stitches software, and I'm going to pick Ontario. I'm going to go back to the text box. I'm going to type in my first word, Mary, and hit apply. I'm going to click in the design space again. I'm going to go back to the text box in the upper right and type in my second word, Christmas, and hit apply. I'm going to go over to the left-hand side and get that select tool. And that allows me now to move Christmas around to where I want it to be. And I kind of want this arrangement here. I'm going to select both words, and I'm going to go up to the transform box, which is in the upper right, and it has the resize button in there. If I look at the height is 1.96. I'm going to change that to 2.5 and click apply. Now at this point, let's go ahead and just change the color of the lettering. I'm going to make it red. This is just so you're going to be able to see the difference between the lettering and the knockdown stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select both words again, right click, drop down to utility, and create nap blocker. Word Art and Stitches calls their knockdown stitch a nap blocker. It opens up the nap blocker properties window, and the default is 0.16. I'm going to change that. I'm going to bump it up to 0.25. This is a number that you can play around with and, get the look that you want. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And you see that it put the nap blocker stitch or the knockdown stitch behind my lettering. You can go ahead, you can stitch this out right now if you wanted to. One thing, when I look at it, I see this line running through the letters. That may or may not show up when you stitch it out. It really depends on the color that you are stitching on, and if you can get your thread that you're going to use for your knockdown stitch to really match your background. So I like to just get rid of that anyway. So to do that, click on the knockdown stitch, that nap blocker, to select it. Go over on the right-hand side and hit the underlay button, and it's right here. If any of these boxes here are checked, uncheck them, but go back and check the one that says edge travel and hit apply, and that got rid of it. So you can go ahead now, stitch it out if you want. A lot of people like to add a border around their knockdown stitch. If that's something that you like, the look that you like, just go ahead and select that knockdown stitch, right click, go back down to utility, and now you see create border is available. And it puts like a satin stitch around that knockdown stitch. You can, if you want, go to that border. It's actually the steel stitch, which is the same thing as a satin stitch basically. It's the backward S up here at the top right. And if you wanted to, on the width, it's set at 3.0. Personally, I like it to be a little bit smaller in width if I use it. I dropped it down to 2.5 and I'm going to hit apply. And this is ready to stitch out. If you don't want that border, you don't have to have it. I'm not going to be stitching it today, so I'm going to go ahead and just select it and delete it. So at this time, one thing I want to do, since I added this knockdown, I want to go back and check my size. So I'm selecting everything. In the upper right, I'm going to click on that transform icon again. My height now has increased to 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to knock that down to 2.5 because that's what I determined I wanted my finished size to be, and hit apply. So I'm ready to stitch it out now. Go up to File, Save As, and first I would save it in the native format in case you want to go back and make any changes. This is Dime's native format C2S. It'll make it very easy if you want to change anything. So determine where you want to save your design, name your design, save it. Then go back to File, Save As. Again, figure out where you want to save your design, name your design. This time, use the drop-down menu to choose your particular embroidery format, and then click Save. And that's it. That's how easy it is to do. All right, so you saw how easy and quick it is to do in Designs and Machine Embroidery's Word Art and Stitches software. It's probably the quickest way to do it. Um, Will you be able to watch this again? Yes. The best way to be able to rewatch is to subscribe to Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel. That way, you'll know whenever I go live, you'll get a notification, and it's always there, where you can easily find it on Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel. You can rewatch it on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page, but it kind of gets lost in post. If I, keep making posts, it gets pushed further and further down the page. So again, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you're going to get notices whenever I go live, and you can always find everything pretty easily there. So, were there any questions about creating the knockdown stitch in Word Art and Stitches software? I think it's pretty easy to do. Um, Yeah, Vicky, it does, do a nice job. It was very easy to do. It has some really nice built-in fonts to it. It really is a monogramming software. So, it's perfect if you love to monogram, if you do it a lot. Again, you can purchase Word Art and Stitches software. It's a download from embroiderygarden.com. You get your download code, or I'm sorry, your serial number code, which that is what activates the software immediately. It's right there after you purchased it. It's on your order confirmation page. So it makes it pretty easy. Let's see. I made it look easy. Yeah, well, it was kind of easy to do. Free software that does a lockdown stitch or the knockdown stitch. I don't know of any. I am not really a person that purchases a ton of software. I've used Brothers PE Design basically since the beginning, and I've gotten into Dime software, and I use several of their software programs. Dime's main digitizing software, I mean, if you want full blown software that can do anything, it's perfect Embroidery Pro. Then Dime has what they call inspiration software, and they specifically do something. Like there's My Lace Maker. If you're into creating lace, then they make it easier for you to create it by using this kind of specific software. That's what Word Art and Stitches is. It's mainly used to, create monograms and those type of things. And that's why they have the knockdown stitch in it, because people want to monogram towels and other things like that. And again, you want to use that knockdown stitch when you are embroidering on towels because they have a pile to them. Fur, like I'm doing today, Sherpa, you'd want to use one on. And again, some people like to use it on fleece. I particularly don't really use it too much whenever I embroider on fleece. Now that we've done how to create the knockdown stitch in Word Art and Stitches software, let's see how to do it in PE Design 11. Is the text. So I'm going to click on the text icon and click on the text tool. I'm using a built-in font from my computer called Sweetheart Script. I'm going to go ahead and click into the design space and type the word Mary and hit enter. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to select the text tool, click in the design space, and this time type Christmas and hit enter. The reason I did it in two separate steps is so that I'm able to take the first word and move it where I want it to be. Now my text looks a little bit skinny. So I'm going to go over to the sewing attributes here on the right-hand side. And with the text selected, I'm going to click on Pole Compensation, and I'm going to bounce it up 2 clicks. And then you can see that my font just got a little bit thicker. That's better than it being really skinny. So I want my font to be about 2.5 inches high at this point. So I'm going to go to size. And when the size window opens, I'm going to change the height to 2.5. Remember, we still have to add the knockdown stitch around it, so I'm allowing a little bit of room. Click OK. Now that I have my text ready, I'm going to go up to embroidered patch up here at the top of the screen. Then when the patch wizard opens up, I'm going to create the distance from the original pattern, and I'm going to make it be 0.2. Click OK. And now you can see the text has an outline around it. I'm going to click off the workspace. And over here on the left-hand side, under the sewing order, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to right-click on that outline and click Select Objects. That's so that I'm only selecting that outline. Now that I have the outline selected, if we go up here and we're looking at the region Sew, you can see that Not Sewn is selected, which means that there's just nothing inside of this outline. What I want to choose is go down to Net Fill Stitch. And now you can see it put like a grid inside of that outline. I'm going to go over to the Line Sew properties over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the spacing. It defaults to 0.12. I'm going to drop it down to as far as it'll go, which is 0.08. I'm also going to change the direction to 45 degrees just because I think it looks a little bit better at an angle. Now here under the region Sew, next to pattern, the square is highlighted. So you can see inside of that knockdown that we're creating is a bunch of little squares. I can change that to a triangle. And now you can see it's a little bit denser. This would probably be fine for the project that we're doing. You could also choose the last one here, and it's going to really be dense. I'm going to go ahead and just keep that one for right now. And you can see that it changed. Over here, back at the sewing order on the the left-hand side, you can see our design is out of order. All of the red are the letters. Then it does the knockdown, then it does the outline. So what we need to do is choose all the letters, and I just clicked on the first one. I'm going to go down to the last one, holding down my Shift key and clicking on it so I select them all. And I'm just going to grab them and move them down to Sew Last. Now you can see the letters better over here. One thing, this outline that we have, and if I need to click off into the design space, and now if I go back and click on the outline and then right click on it to select it so that I only have it selected, you can see it does select both pieces. But if I go up here to the top and under running stitch, if I click Not Sewn, it turns it off. And the reason I turned it off is, let me zoom in a little bit. I don't really need it. You can see that this a knockdown that I created, it's got its own outline around it, so there's no reason to add another one around it. Let me zoom back out. And the first thing that I want to do, I got to pick my select tool again, but the first thing I want to do here, select everything, and I want to look at the size. And size is located here along the top menu bar. And if we look at it, we see that the height now is 2.98, which is a little bit too big for that cuff of the Santa hat that I'm going to be stitching. So I'm going to change that and drop it down to 2.75 and hit OK. If we look at that size again, the width is around 5 inches, that's fine. So that's it. The design is basically done. I am going to rotate it to the right. And then I'm going to go to arrange here at the top and move it to the center. And now this design is ready to stitch. All I would do is file, save, or save as, choose where you want to save it, give it a name, and then click save. And that's it. At this point, with my machine, I can click send over here on the top right, and I can actually send it to my Luminaire by clicking the name of my machine, which is Lumi 3. And I always like to print out a template. So to print a template, I'm going to go back up here to the icon on the upper left. And under print, I want to show you something. If you have brother machines that have the Snowman technology, you can set it up. So you go under print, print setup. And then over here, if you click on print sewing area box and center axis, highlight that. Over here now, there's a check mark. I put the check mark in front of the snowman. So I can either have it print out with just the cross, the north, south, east, west, center point, or I can print it with a snowman marker already printed on the template. And that's how I would want to print it. So I'd hit OK and then go back up to File, Print, and print it. And that's how I got my template. All right, so that's how I did it in PE Design 11. Are there any questions about that? I did see that Ginger asked if I'm going to do more demos and things with designs and machine embroideries, cut and stitch software. Yeah, I'll be doing some more next year. But did you know that every 2 weeks, Ashley Jones, who is the lead educator for Dime, does a software success show, and she chooses one of the Dime software, and she takes you through all the features of the software and how to create something in it. So, watch that. It's every other Tuesday during the month at 1 o'clock on Designs and Machine Facebook page. So you get lots of information there. Let's see. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for joining me today. I am going to go back. This is almost done stitching over here. Let's just take a look at it real quick. I turned it off while those demos were playing because I wasn't quite sure if you'd be able to hear it or not. So I turned it off. Back here are some of the samples using knockdown stitches that I showed earlier in case you're just tuning in. This is the one that I said that I used Kingstar metallic thread on. I used the silver on the snowflake, and I used their red color for the name on this one. And then just, some other samples. So while this is stitching, I think it really only got a few minutes to go. Any questions? Don't forget to get #garden in, and I'll be doing that $20 gift card at the end of the demo. Karen, have you seen any questions? And Yolanda is saying it made you want to go play with your PE design software. So, of course, that's how you learn software is you play with it. You get the software, you gotta practice, you gotta use it. I am certainly no software expert, but I do set time aside for any new software that I get to play in it and try to create different things. Thanks, Terry. I appreciate that. Can you do it on PE Design next? Yeah, I believe you can. it would probably be the same process. There might be some different icons. Trying to think. Next was that was quite a while ago. I was hoping that Brother would have updated PE Design 11 this year when they put out their new products, but I'm hoping maybe next year. And Heidi, you learned what a knockdown stitch is for. Great. It is really nice to use. And, when you stitch it, let's look at these samples again. It's best to use a color that matches the background. So when I stitched the knockdown on this one, I used white. When I stitched the knockdown part on this one, I used gray that matched my towel. On this one, I used, as close of a pink as I had to, kind of hide it. You don't want the knockdown to stand out. You want whatever you're putting on top of the knockdown to stand out. The link to the All Brands video. You know what? Go to Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel. And on my channel, I kind of organized all my videos. And it would probably be under project tutorial. Again, if you're in the Hoop Facebook group, I'm going to put this Santa hat design, this Merry Christmas with the knockdown behind it. I'm going to put that into the group. I'll upload it on the group, and I will find that video, the link to it, and put it in my group. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be able to find all the videos there. I've recently have enjoyed seeing a nice little uptick in the number of followers on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page, subscribers to my YouTube channel, followers on Instagram. And, when that happens, it makes me want to do more for you. So, be sure to like my page, follow my page, subscribe to my channel, all these things, and, interact with the page, react to my posts, comment on my posts, and those kind of things encourage me to always want to do more. You can use the knockdown stitch on mittens. If you can get them hooped, you can. And if they have a fur or, some type of a fabric that you want to knock down, because that's what the stitch is actually doing. It's knocking down, holding down that pile. Problem would be hooping it. There are other types of hoops out there, especially if you have a machine with a free arm, like a 6-needle, 10-needle type machine. There are hoops out there that you can definitely embroider on gloves. If you have a whole machine, a flatbed machine, it's probably easier to just do the cuff, and you would do that basically how I did this hat. Lynn, very nice, thank you. She enjoys my demos. I try to make them interesting, and if you guys ever have ideas for them, shoot me an email at support@embroiderygarden.com with your ideas, and maybe I'll use one of them. I just heard the machine ding, meaning it's done. So let's pull it off here. Get over to the table and look at it. Kind of move my samples out of the way. And if you're coming in a little bit late, I did use Dime's 5x7 sticky hoop. I believe it comes in several different sizes. These are great for those items that you just can't embroider. Something like this, you can't get this hooped. It's very hard to get it into a traditional two-piece hoop. Making sure I got all my pins out. I thought I had put one up here. Up here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is. And then now at this point, I'm going to just tear away my water-soluble topper. This is one of those plastic type of toppers. You don't really need a mesh fabric type topper on this. There's no need to get this wet. Again, this is a Santa hat. They're not, fine items, fine garments. One thing I think I didn't tell you at the beginning, some of you may have thought I was actually stitching this upside down. That's another reason why I like to use a template. Because if I print my template out, and let me just grab it here real quick. let's just say this was the design I put on here. I like to put it on there and use that template because once I've moved my cuff around and done all this, it's very easy to get your design stitched upside down. And then when you turn your cuff up, you've got it wrong. So that's one reason too why I love to use templates. They keep everything straight for me and let me know um, which way I'm going to end up with something. So all I'm going to do is just kind of tear this away from the sticky stabilizer. You can see it's tearing away close to the stitching all around. And, there's no need to remove any of that. It's there. There's absolutely no reason to remove any of it. Let me get my hat straightened out here, fold my cuff up. You can see I've got it in the correct orientation. And again, at the beginning, I told you on this hat, all they did was just put a piece of a line of hot glue there and put it back and do the same thing here on the back side. Just hot glue it to tack it back together. Sandy, if I can only buy one sticky hoop, I would buy probably the 5x7. You can do a lot of things in the 5x7. It really kind of depends on what do you want to do. Is there a specific item? Maybe there's a specific little bag or something that you want to create a lot of, or maybe you want to sell and your design may be bigger. Well, then get that sticky hoop. But the 5x7 is a really nice size, I think. Callie, you always learn something from me. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're watching. All right, I'm going to see if anyone has any other questions. And in my group, I'll be posting my finished hat. I'll take a nice picture of it, a close-up picture. You just, whoops, let you look at it once. I'll bring it up closer for you. See how cute that looks? It's just adorable on this fur. And again, this was the Antero font built into Designs and Machine Embroideries software, their word art and stitches. All right, so time to do the giveaway. Remember, hurry up, get that hashtag garden in because I'm going to be picking the winner right now. So I can share the thing with you. That's going to pick the winner. All right, entries are in. I'm going to draw. It's going to pick someone, and they're going to get the $20 gift card to embroiderygarn.com. And the winner is Tamara Willis. So, Tamara, send me an email at support@embroiderygarn.com, and I will get that gift card to you. So, thanks everyone for watching. Remember, there won't be a demo next month in December. There will be favorite things. Be sure to tune in for that. And I'll be back with my demos in January 2024. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season and hope to see you December 9th for favorite things.